Okay guys, so within this video we are going to be talking about evidence for DLC 5 for Black Ops 3 Zombies. Now within the other video we went through sort of this source from the Gaming Revolution talking about, okay, you know, we're gonna see DLC 5 sort of in April, maybe the summer, sometime in 2017. It goes through sort of the dates and the timeline of why they're working on DLC 5, how they're gonna release it, what's gonna occur, why they're doing it, probably because of low IW sales. They want people to continue to play Call of Duty, and that's like one of the only ways. They had time after Garage Trophy because they already finished Revelations by the time Garage Trophy was out, so they had these 2-3 months to really work on this, and maybe even time after, so you never know what the deal is there. But we went through that stuff within that video. Now this video I want to go through sort of actual evidence, stuff they've actually added to Black Ops 3 Zombies, stuff we've seen within the code of Black Ops 3 Zombies, and really everything in between as to legitimate stuff that we've seen that relates and leads us to believe we will be seeing DLC 5 map pack coming soon, or remaster maps, or anything like that. So it's gonna be very interesting. We'll go through some of the maps, we'll go through different stuff added. There's a lot of different quotes, well, not really quotes, but stuff from, we have stuff from the Glitching Queen, stuff from all over the place. So again, if we can go for 250 likes, that would be greatly appreciated. And let's get started. So I want to start here again listing the maps. We have Ascension, Moon, Mob of the Dead, and Origins. Those are the 4 maps that the source highlighted as being added to DLC 5. Those are the 4 maps that basically everyone's talking about right now. Like if you're talking about DLC 5, you're discussing those 4 maps. So that's really where we're at right now. Now, I want to start off here going through some of these maps with what's been added to the game, like actual content that's been added. I guess not necessarily to the game, but that's been added by Treyarch. Like Treyarch has produced this content. That's the loading screens, okay? The loading screens are so freaking crazy. I want to start off here. The first loading screen we saw, in which we didn't really know until we had the source, could be an actual map, but people have been talking about forever being remastered for Black Ops 3 Zombies, and that's Moon. So we listed Moon before, but again, the Moon loading screen, the new one at least, has been around since even before Black Ops 3 came out. We saw it in this trailer, we saw it in a DICE event, and we just everywhere, man. We've been seeing this new Moon loading screen. Treyarch made this for a reason. I'll put it again, the old one and then the new ones, so you guys can see the differences. Clearly they're different. Clearly there's some reason as to why Treyarch is actually doing that, why they're redoing the Moon loading screen. People had all these different theories. I remember back from the Black Ops 3 beta, you had all these different, there's like a wave gun blueprint on Combine. I think it's there right now, actually, it's still there. There's the wave gun blueprint in the giant loading screen as well, and you have all different sort of hints at Moon, different quotes from the giant talking about Moon. But the loading screen is just such a weird thing because they produced that. They made that for a reason. You never know. What's very interesting is that last month, okay, we saw the Ascension loading screen redone for the Black Ops 3 comics. That's a really weird thing as well. I'll put the first Ascension loading screen up on screen. You see that? I think we all know that one. And now the new one, very different. I think I'm gonna go in depth a bit more on this one because it could mean the setting, and it could give us a bit more of a storyline as to what's gonna happen for this DLC 5 pack. What's the reason for it? I don't think they're just gonna straight up give us remakes and just say, oh, here you go, here's some remakes. They're gonna make no sense storyline wise, but here you go. I don't think they're gonna do that. I think if they're gonna do remakes, they're gonna make it make sense. So you see in here, you have Dr. Monty in his new world on the left. That's the main thing I really want to focus on. The other pictures, you see the Horizon Drop rockets instead of the Ascension rockets. You see Samantha in there in the Gobblegum machine. It looks like Samantha, and then like some other guy teleporting. We're not so sure who that guy is, but I think the main thing really is Dr. Monty. I mean, if you guys don't know, Dr. Monty's new world was the thing that he basically talked about at the end of Revelations. He wants to have this new world, get rid of everything that we've seen, and he sort of wants to continue the cycle and basically use the characters. Dr. Monty was seen as this really weird, sort of evil, but we're not so sure why he's evil and how he's evil, but we sort of know he's evil. It's just this really weird thing. But we know this new Ascension loading screen, Treyarch created it, put it into the comics, teased it to us. They're teasing us all this random stuff. And you have, obviously, they put, after Revelations has been released, they put Dr. Monty's New World in the Ascension loading screen. Such a weird thing, man. Why else would they do that? I don't know. It's just such a weird thing. So again, if we're seeing any storyline, these maps, these remade maps, Ascension, Moon, Mob of the Dead, and Origins are going to be in the setting of Dr. Monty's New World. That's going to be really sick to see how that works out. But again, going through a couple of other different stuff. Another loading screen was added as well. We don't have any Mob of the Dead loading screens or Origins loading screens. We have not seen those yet. If those are going to be teased anytime soon, then it's going to just get really crazy. But there was also a Nuketown loading screen that was teased. Nuketown, it's a pretty important map. I don't really want to talk about it that much because it's not a map that we've been discussing being a part of DLC 5. I just don't think it's going to really happen. But again, they made a remastered loading screen for it, so, why? Why? I guess it was a pretty important map, but we'll see. Maybe we do see Nuketown. That would be pretty interesting. But anyway, moving on. We have, obviously, new textures being added to Black Ops 3 Zombies. We sort of know that already, these new textures from the old maps. People have been arguing that it's for Revelations. I don't really know why they would be adding new textures when Revelations, it's already there. Like, it's not like they're patching Revelations. They're adding new textures. So again, that was that. Now, we've seen other code as well back from before Revelations was released, back before even Black Ops 3 was released. We saw different lines of code that either had remastered maps like Kino, Shangri-La, Moon, Mob of the Dead, all these different maps, and then you also had lines of code that literally said DLC 5. So, we've had these different lines of code. Again, there have been debates about whether that is real or not, whether the lines of code is just reused for these new maps, whether DLC 5 is just sort of code name for new content, because DLC 5 was also in the code for Black Ops 2. So again, people talk about that stuff, and I'm not too, hung up on the code. I do think the code is important, but again, as we're seeing these other stuff added to the game, as we're seeing the loading screens and all these different teasers and these sources, I'm sort of leaning towards that as well, other than the code. But the code, again, is still important. Obviously, the code has been so important. I mean, the code has given us so many leaks that have come true for Black Ops 3 Zombies that it's sort of silly not to look at the code sometimes. So again, the code is there. Whether or not it comes to fruition, we'll see. But here's something really interesting as well. I'm going to play you guys a Glitching Queen quote, okay, where she talks about her source actually talking about remaster maps in DLC 5. Let's play that. Here you go.
One quick thing I wanted to let y'all know about is that the sources that I have that let me know about some of this information in advance before maps come out have let me know that it looks like there will be 5 DLC. But it looks like, yeah, this could be happening, and maybe there'll be some maps that have been remastered. And I do trust what they're telling me.
So again, she goes through that. Her source, if you guys don't remember, she had a source that was giving her information for a good part of Black Ops 3, especially with Zetsuma no Shima. She actually, I'm pretty sure, got into trouble with Zetsuma no Shima. She made a video talking about Zetsuma no Shima leaked information before DLC 2 was obviously released, talking about spiders and this new Thrasher boss, and obviously those were correct. She knew those were going to be in the game because of her source. And I'm pretty sure Treyarch, striked the video or got into contact with her, and she said she had to take it down, and she took down the video. And obviously that information was true. And she's had sources like this again and again talking about all this different stuff. So, as much as you want to or don't want to believe different sources, like the Gaming Revolution source, and the Gaming Revolution, just to back him up a bit, he had sources, different sources. I'm not so sure if it's the same one or if he had different. I don't really know what the deal is there, but he had a person that told him about Garage Krovi and how it's gonna be, Reagan Mark II, Reagan Mark III's dual wield things and all different bosses, and that all came to. That all happens. Like, we had the Reagan Mark III and Garage Krovi, we had all this stuff, and the Gaming Revolution tweeted about it the day before the trailer even announced. He even knew the song of the trailer before it even released, and his source told him that. So, as much as the sources aren't definite things, you really have to go through and think, well, these sources, the Gaming Revolution source, at times have been wrong, most of the time right, the Glitching Queen source as well, pretty right most of the time as well, and she even had to take down the video because she was so right. Treyarch saw it and took down the video. That's how right she was, you know? So I think looking at these sources, we can't just go off and say, you know, oh, matters, you're faking stuff. I really don't want to say I am, because I'm not. Like, going off of these sources, they've been so credible, it's just, it's really hard not to make the connection between what they're saying, what we've seen, how they've been right, how they've been true all these times, and putting that towards DLC 5 and what we're going to be seeing for DLC 5. So, I don't know, man. That's sort of my central points as to evidence for DLC 5 remastered maps. There are a whole slew of different things, different quotes, a ton of different things that could be pointed and teased for DLC 5. These are the main things I thought were pretty important. Obviously, I've talked about different things before, but those are more like theoretical things. Like, these are actual sort of evidence-based things, like code, different sources, different things added to the game, and stuff like that. So if you want me to make another video talking about this, maybe different types of evidence, we'll see how the video does. If people sort of understand where I'm coming from, then we'll make different ones. If not, you know, we'll just see what happens. If you're watching at the end of this video, please leave a comment below DLC 5 so I can thank you guys for watching the whole video. And that's really gonna be it. I don't know, man. It's gonna be interesting. It's going to be really interesting to see what actually happens. Again, I'm still a bit skeptical as to if we're actually going to see it, but I do think there's so much evidence now that I'm close enough to really thinking like this could actually happen. Like, this is really something that you can't just not think about. You can't just brush it over, basically. You need to really think like there's a good chance that it may happen. So we'll see what happens, man. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys did enjoy. See you guys later.